Hi there, Bjørn from Physio Innovation. Today's video, I wanted to show you a more natural, a better compromise for a triathlon position on the bike leg. So in my last video I showed you a very tilted saddle, a very aggressive position saddle, also forward. Today I have adjusted this, so I still have a little bit of a decline here, a nose dipping, and also I've positioned my saddle a little bit towards the rear or behind the bottom bracket again. And I've also adjusted my armrest here, the whole front part of my bike, to have a somewhat an angle that actually supports and hook me in within the position, so it helps me not sliding forward on the bike whilst I'm riding. And this would hook you in, as I often say, hook you in within the position and help you to not overcorrect and slide too much forward. What we often see a tendency for riders to do or athletes to do within triathlon. And also this you want to do to not put unnecessary strain, as I told and I showed in my last video with the extreme positions in triathlon, on your Achilles tendon. So what we want to do is that we want to be as aerodynamic as possible, obviously, and in order to do so and to obtain this aerodynamic position, some corrections you could do. You could choose a shorter pedal or crank length. So I've positioned today my crank length in one of the most, or the shortest one accessible on the market, 165 instead of the normal 172.5. And the idea behind this is that you have you can actually go lower with your trunk and your upper body, and then hide better in the wind, because you would have less of a pinching and high knee movement going on around your hip. So when I say high knee, then it means like this, coming up to this phase. So with a shorter crank length, your knee would be a little bit lower. Okay, so this alleviates a little bit the stress upon the hip joint, and it gives you a bit more space to go deep here and search for an aerodynamic position, which will, with your watts, give you a higher speed, obviously. What you notice also here is that I've got the bar still from the ITT, so even with an angle here, I can go even into more a downhill skier's position. Okay, so we know from our aerodynamic studies that the position here, replicating a downhill skier, is one of the fastest, perhaps the fastest position. And what it also does is that the angle here makes me hook in, so I'm not sliding that easily forward as I'm doing now on the saddle. So this would be one idea. First of all, look at your crank length. If you got the money to maybe change for a shorter crank length within triathlon, I definitely see an idea behind this. But you should maybe also take a look at your cleat positioning. So for long triathlon distances as Ironman and semi-Ironman, maybe see if you can position your cleats a little bit more rearward. Again, what you want to do is that you want to distribute your muscle and neuromuscular you say activation into to large muscle groups, and not put too much of unnecessary strain on especially the Achilles, because you need to run after. And here you got a lot of forces, a lot of compressive forces, tensile forces that goes into you to this specific tendon. So positioning your cleats backwards will also give you a more of a neuromuscularly better activation, easy activation of your hip muscles here. And once you actually activate your hip muscles, it helps you also fixate your whole pelvis onto the saddle. So what I see sometimes with riders is if they don't have a good glute activation, they will tend to overactivate the whole posterior chain here, and this whole posterior chain, as I already covered in my last video, will also make you slide forward. It's natural. To better activate this chain, you want to slide forward, okay? But once you get activated these muscles, they will help you to fix your pelvis on the bike, and they will also help in this upper phase to relieve the opposite, so my left leg phase of pulling and scraping, and again I relieve my Achilles tendon. So these are some of the specifics for triathletes. There are many more small details that you could juggle around with, but I would definitely recommend you guys watching this video and looking into a more of a aerodynamic position, to look at the crank length, maybe doing an investment here. It will require some adjustment into your pedal technique, that's for sure. It will be a little bit more strange compared to if you had say a normal crank length of 172.5, but with training that will compensate it easily. You need to maybe adjust your RPMs into the higher, to some higher numbers, and you would also need to try and work with the activation of your glute. So yeah, that's it for today. Angled armrest, little bit of a nose dip here, incline, and also a shorter crank length into for helping your triathlon position into a more aerodynamic, but also a better compromise in terms of engaging bigger muscle groups within triathlon without putting unnecessary strain onto your, especially Achilles tendon. You will need that one for the running. Okay, hope you get a good ride and have a nice day. See you for the next video, or hopefully I could move on to the knee. We'll see. See you around.